Welcome to the Emo Social Club podcast, broadcasting to you live from emosocialclub.tv. I am Brian.
And I'm Lizzie, and we're here this evening with our new friend from Armor for Sleep, Ben Jorgensen, here to just talk it up and see what's going on now with the band. So thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Oh, I'm here to talk. Do I have to do talking today?
I mean, you could do Minionese if you wanted to, and we could always translate.
I was hoping it'd be like charades, and I could just answer everything and mime.
You're going to need to check this out on YouTube if you want to see the actual
Everyone's
video.
actually going to have the visual aid to this now.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us what's up. What's up with Armor for Sleep, and let's just get your creds out there, because I'm sure people are curious.
Yeah, so I started a band in 2001 called Armor for Sleep, and we did a bunch of stuff, and then we kind of broke up in 2009, and then we didn't do stuff for a long time, and we made a new album and didn't tell anyone about it until a week ago, and we told everyone about it, and we just put out a new song and a new video. The first single from the album, and the album is called The Rain Museum, and it comes out in September, and we're very stoked about it.
I do absolutely love the title and also the album artwork. Like, I saw it and it was like, ooh, holy shit, that's good. That is tasty. That is a tasty album cover.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm stoked about the album cover too.
Speaking of design, and I'm going to start this off by saying again, on the recording of this, listeners of the Emo Social Club will know I am old and have been around in the emo scene for too long. And I remember, and it's funny because we just interviewed Zach Ross of Man Overboard like a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "Yeah, we made this like damn T-shirt with like protect or defend pop punk." And I was thinking, like, that's like the pop punk version of like the merch, right? And growing up, I just remember everybody had the Armor for Sleep Angel Wing hoodie and would wear it everywhere. And I was like, yo, I hated that everybody had it. And I was like, I want that hoodie. But I'm like, it took me like another couple years of just seeing people wearing it to actually listen to Armor for Sleep. And then I'm like, oh, I want it. Couldn't find it. So... all I'm saying is I think that you have the quintessential emo piece of merch for a very long time.
I know. I think that hoodie design was actually bigger than our band at one point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's actually, we were on Equal Vision Records, which was like a hardcore label. Basically, they're actually putting out our new album, The Rain Museum, it's awesome to be back with them. Mm-hmm. But at the very beginning, they put us on tour with a bunch of their bands, and one of the first bands we ever toured with was this hardcore band from Massachusetts called Bane, who were awesome. Like, I grew up loving hardcore, and so we toured with Bane, and one of the coolest things about Bane is that they had... Their quintessential piece of merch was just a hoodie or a T-shirt that just said Bane on it, just 4 letters, and it zipped in the middle. And like, it was cool seeing Bane, but like, it was way cooler to like be able to get one of the Bane hoodies. And I honestly think that's like why we wanted to do the Armor hoodie, because we were just kind of like, it was like a nod to Bane because we loved that piece of merch so much. And then that kind of became our thing.
Yeah, it is very interesting how those kinds of like those merch designs and like that sort of just quintessential like thing just becomes like so well known in both the music genre and the scene, but also like for your band. And it's like, oh, I need that hoodie. It's like, I should also probably listen to the band that made the hoodie.
Yeah, that's secondary though.
Yeah, nowadays you can just wear whatever and just be like, hey, I look cool and edgy. You just get the bonus points if you do know.
Well,
who
like,
it
I remember
is.
when there were really cool merch items back in the day, you'd get it and you were like, fuck, I know I don't know this band. And like, there was no easy way to find out about the band. So you'd buy the T-shirt, you wouldn't wear it. And like the next day you'd go to the record store, you would like buy one of their albums. You would like learn a couple of the names of the songs. So then when you would wear it in school and your friends would be like, yo, name 2 songs. You'd be like, I will. But like now, if you want to buy a cool shirt, like whatever, maybe you don't know who Armor for Sleep is, but you want the Armor hoodie, you just take out your phone and you type it into Spotify and you know their entire catalog. So like that's just never an issue anymore.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like I couldn't just like pull out my phone and just go, oh, I'm going to order that hoodie right now. And then
like, hey, where is it?
It's like, okay, well, when's the next time they're coming to town? And it's like, I'm 14 years old and I have to get my mom to take me to like
to wherever it's at.
To
Dell and Tinley Park.
Venues were open at that time, like the Metro or Bottom Lounge, maybe. Definitely Metro. I don't know where you guys would have played in Chicago around that time.
I mean, we did get to play the Metro a couple times. Also, definitely played the Bottom Lounge, probably way more than the Metro.
Yeah. What's the smallest venue you've played? Like you played before, like you guys broke up? Like, was it? And it could be anywhere, but like the smallest, most intimate show that you guys played before that, like when you were at your like, you know, everybody wants to book Armor for Sleep.
I don't know why this comes to mind, but probably because of the Chicago side of things. So we played at a place called Jerry's Pizza in Bakersfield, California. It's kind of famous because there's no other venues in Bakersfield. So it's literally, there's a pizza place that you walk into called Jerry's Pizza, and there's a basement, but it's not like a basement that's like made into a venue. It's like a basement, like the basement in Fight Club. You just like walk down some shitty steps and there's a cement room with no windows. There's no air conditioning. And we played there with a band called Fall Out Boy. That was when we were on tour with Fall Out Boy.
Oh my God.
Right. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Literally just in some random dusty ass basement. There were maybe 25 people there. Or actually, Fall Out Boy were kind of blowing up at the time, so there were probably more people there than that. But
30.
Yeah, like
there you
35.
Go. Yeah.
That's like the kind of thing though, where like if you're too big, it's dangerous, but that's also like why you kind of want to do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Fall Out Boy were obviously not as big as they are now back then, but like kids were still flipping out for them. So even, like those 35 kids were like, their brains were exploding the entire time. Like it was not a safe 35 kids in a
they were all
basement.
Dangers to everybody and themselves.
Yes. But that was awesome. So that was a pretty small venue. I can't really think of I mean, smaller than that, and you're talking about like a crawl space. I don't think we've ever played a crawl space.
Okay.
It's like South by Southwest back in the day when like just set up anywhere, like find an Urban Outfitters and plug in and just go in the middle of the
like, guys,
t-shirt
this is
racks.
the unofficial show.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back to it. Are we going to get a reprint of this iconic hoodie? Or is it going to be a sweatshirt? Because I also know that there's a debate between zip-up hoodies now and pullovers.
Yeah, so I was very surprised to find out that like zip-ups are no longer cool. Like kids these days are not into zip-ups. Like pullovers are the thing. Call me old, but I love the convenience of a zip up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like maybe I'm just all about convenience, but when I go outside, when it's not cold enough for jacket weather, it's not warm enough to be outside without a hoodie, a zip up is the perfect solution because if you're too hot, you unzip it and you have, some breezes coming in, but a pullover, it's one or the other.
Yeah, like a zip up hoodie is just like you have two outfits basically. A pullover, you have one outfit.
One outfit. So like, I guess fashion moved forward, but, ease of use or like, we're just taking a step backwards in terms of convenience. Yeah. And it worries me. It worries me for everyone.
So you're saying we're going to reprint the hoodie so that we can like save the people from their inconvenient lives.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just do it for humanity, just to bring back the convenience of the zip-up hoodie. But like, I don't like. Maybe I was just out of the scene for a second. But like, when did that happen with zip-ups? Do you guys? Is there?
It was about.
Oh yes, I love this.
Yeah,
it had to be probably when I was in late high school, early college, so like 2012, 2013 area, because you had that like. Kind of like brocore pop punk, and that's when everyone's like, oh, pullover hoodies, like Real Friends, things like that. And that's where I saw that shift because I'm always like a zip up hoodie type of person. And I was like, hey, where did all the zip up hoodies go? I wanted to buy a new one. And everybody just had pullovers. And now we're starting to see more variety, but like haven't seen that much.
So like, was it just that the pullover was just like so hot when it came out that like the zip up became like really uncool? Like if you wore a zip up, you would just seem like you weren't up with the trends, right?
Yeah. And it's still now like if you wear a zip up, I think obviously it depends where you go. But like if you wear like a zip up, some people would be like, "Oh, why do you have a zip up? Why isn't that like a pullover?"
That's so funny.
It's weird because I have one like oversized zip up hoodie, as everybody should have, I feel, in their wardrobe. And it's for our friends in Rematch, and I'll just like wear it to the office and to work, or I'll just wear it like if I'm going to a show and I'm layering, and they're like, "That zips," and I'm like, "Yes. It's fashionable. I could take this off and have more outfit selections underneath."
Yeah.
Like
it's just so, I just never viewed a zip up hoodie. I never viewed that as like a fashion choice. It just almost seemed like a utility, like a t-shirt. Like I don't expect to like walk down the street one day and be like, "Did you see that guy with 2 sleeves on his shirt?" You know what I mean? Like I don't even think twice about a t-shirt. I can't believe that happened with zip up hoodies.
Yeah, no, it's how it is. I mean, if you're around like literally like the younger kids, they'll be like looking at you, they'll side eye you hard.
That's
and
so weird.
We have been like, "Hey guys, if we have merch and we're like, oh, if we do like sweatshirts or something or hoodies, like what would you want to see?" And more people want like pullovers than zip ups.
I had to reach out to a company because their zip ups wouldn't let me print on the front, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't do front printing on zip ups." And I'm like, I feel like that's like the main point of it. And it was like, clearly like there's something going on here with zip ups, and like companies are like, "Yeah, we're phasing this out. Okay. There's only one option. And as soon as we are out of stock, we're no longer offering zip up hoodies." I'm like, damn, dude. Like I thought I was fine. And then the world is like shutting down around me.
Yeah. I'll just never be able to make sense of that, I guess.
Yeah. I like to wear them with like a denim jacket or a leather jacket, and you have the hoodie hanging out the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, fashion. These kids today.
Yeah.
The damn kids. Too old.
So reprint the Armor for Sleep zip up hoodie to save fast fashion.
Save the planet.
Yeah, because, I mean, those hoodies are for sale now, but they're on pullovers. It's not quite the same.
Oh, okay.
It's like the modern version. Yeah.
To get with the kids, I get it. You gotta adapt. So, now getting back a little bit more into your music, your latest single, "How Far Apart."
Yes.
It's a banger, and
thanks.
Overall, from your press release, the overall concept of the album that the single is on is like kind of like a post-apocalyptic world, and like this museum that's in the middle of the desert. It's kind of giving Avatar: Last Airbender vibes when they're in the desert. I love that. Most people will love that. So how did this kind of like formulate within your mind and like you put this on fruition?
So I'll give you guys the shtick not the shtick, but like the explanation of the new album. So basically, just a quick history of Armor for Sleep. We put out our first album, Dream to Make Believe, and then our second album was called What to Do When You're Dead. It was like a concept album of this guy who died, and then he's a ghost, blah, 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 blah. After that happened, I had an idea for the next concept record that was going to come out after it. And like, I had this crazy idea of like, I wanted there to be comic books that would accompany the record, and like maybe a book, and like there was going to be this whole thing. And we wound up being idiots in retrospect, and we signed to a major label at the time. And we had this big management company that was like, "No, you shouldn't do the concept record. Like you should keep things simple." And then we wound up making our like major label album, which was kind of just like, in retrospect, kind of like a watered down version of what we had done. I think we let too many people's opinions chime in, and it just wasn't what we did. And then after that, kind of everything sputtered out and we broke up. But in my mind, like I always wanted to do that concept album that I always intended to come out after What to Do When You're Dead. So when the pandemic happened, and when lockdowns started happening all over, I was like, well, this sucks, because, you know, obviously people were getting sick and everything. And I basically couldn't leave the house. And I was like, you know what, this will be a cool time for me to hunker down and like finally do that album again. And so the story of that album, yeah, it's like it takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where there's no more rain or weather on planet Earth at all. And in the middle of the desert, in the middle of this desert, in the middle of nowhere, there's a museum that's kind of like has all these relics from like back when there was weather on planet Earth, and like kind of like of how society used to be. And all these people from all over the world wander into the desert, into this museum, because basically the point of the story is that they'd rather live in this world where they're looking at their pasts than like dealing with like what their lives have become. So that was my mission when I went into the pandemic, and I was like, sweet, like people were like doing jigsaw puzzles and stuff. I was like, this is going to be my little like quarantine project. So the shitty part is for me, like my life, unfortunately took a bad turn during that time. My marriage of 8 years, fell apart during that time. So I was, basically isolated in quarantine. I couldn't hang out with my friends, couldn't do the normal stuff. And I was like working on this album, and I was like, I need to like push on and like keep finishing this record. But because of what I was going through in my life, like I couldn't like ignore that. So like the songs that I was writing, it turned into like a combination of like this idea that I had that I wanted to finish with all of these visuals and like sounds that I've been creating for the Rain Museum. But then like what I was going through and like all this heavy shit of my breakup just was kind of like seeping in. And I was like, okay, do I stop doing one or do I make two albums? And I was like, no, like this is going to be a combination of the two of them. So then the name of the album, The Rain Museum, it took on another meaning. Like, yes, it has to do with my original idea because that started it, but it's also about me personally looking at this like fucked up situation that I was going through and using this creative process to help me cope with what I was going through. So yeah, that was my very brief explanation of the album.
You were on a major label, asked them if you could do a comic book, and they said no. Were you like super pissed when the Black Parade came out? And it's like, guys.
Yeah. I think My Chem had a slight bit more clout at that point to do what they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, like, so growing up, I was always like super into like concept records because to me it just made more sense from like a musical art piece rather than just like a collection of songs together on a record and like following some sort of storyline. Like Coheed was a good example of growing up. I had no idea what the fuck the story was, but I was like, yo, I like this. I get it.
Yeah.
There's a story here. I don't know
here.
what they're saying. I don't know who. I don't know which Claudio we're talking about here because he named the character after himself. That's weird, but I don't get it. But I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna figure it out. But it's like, yeah, that just makes so much more sense. So it's kind of surprising they didn't let you like do that kind of thing. And then now, like, what would that continuation look like? It would be so cool.
Yeah. And like the truth is it's not that concept album. Like it wound like it's not that at all. Like that was almost like the starting point, but it turned into, you know, a way more like real album that has like real breakup songs or whatever. But I still kept the name and I still kept a lot of the imagery because that was kind of like I was building the album to be that story, but now it's like this combination. So so yeah.
Well, it's definitely evolved over the years, and it takes this approach that you're kind of looking at, like as an IRL, like, hey, this is a point I am in my life. This is a point where maybe a lot of your fans may be, or they're just older going through similar things. So even more so, people may be able to, you know, understand that a little bit better at the same time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so, yeah, so How Far Apart is the first single on it. It's the second song on the record. And yeah, I hope people like it.
Yeah. The comic book is coming out in 2023. Look, I just really love the idea of like a big world around like creating music that exists as one album, an art piece that is from beginning to end. You listen to it and it's a very cohesive piece. But like, if you want to go deeper and you want to have more experience with the universe that you're creating as a musician, here's like some supplemental material that will really benefit it. Like music videos, comic books, like all that just adds to it so much when you're, you know, when you're an artist and you're a fan who's just like, I need it all. I need everything.
I mean, yeah, for me as a fan of music, like I think it's just all about like what I gravitate to is just like purpose behind an album. Like if I just hear about a band that's doing a record, I'm like, and then I dig deeper and it's like, oh, the band is just doing a new record because they just want to make a new record. I'm like, okay. But if there's a band that's like, they have a purpose behind the record, like they had to do it, you know what I mean? Where there's like a reason why they felt they had to do it. Like it's about something or it's relevant to the world. I mean, that just gets my attention, even for my favorite bands, way more than like Kings of Leon made a new record that they'll be touring with. Like, okay,
dude,
cool.
They're releasing it as an NFT. Okay. So like,
but it's
had
also
to do it.
I heard one of the new Kings of Leon songs on Octane, which is Sirius XM, basically kind of like,
oh, it's serious.
Yeah. Like hard rock. And it sounds like they're going the butt rock route.
Oh no.
Oh no.
But I mean, yeah, good for them. God bless.
God bless. Now, here's the thing. Would Armor for Sleep ever consider a one butt rock song?
This is not a question.
Yes.
This is a request.
Yeah, sure. Can we add some rap in there? Like a little rap new metal?
Yeah, why not?
Look,
okay.
I'm back. I've been unironically listening to Limp Bizkit this week, so, you know, no questions. No questions in the chat, please. Bad vibes.
No, just bully him off stream. It's okay.
The style kind of hit. Like the new record is pretty good. Okay. Everybody stop adding me in the chat, please.
Yep. Just keep adding him. But also with this new album, obviously you have a couple shows coming up. So you have one that's a one-off show in California in October with the Starting Line, which is one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I flipped out.
Yeah, Liz was like, I got to bring this up because I love them.
So with that, and then also with what you're doing with Dashboard Confessional and Andrew McMahon too, with a handful of shows, it kind of begs the question: after you do these shows, will you plan to do anything in like the later half of the year, anything in the new year with touring?
Yeah, for sure. I would love to. I know the other guys would love to as well. So yeah, I mean, we want to give this record the full treatment. Like. We're doing 2 more music videos. One of them is coming out in August and one in September when the album comes out. So I feel like if we're putting all this work into it, may as well like play some shows for people. Unless, I mean, if everyone hates the record and they're like, Armor for Sleep, shut the fuck up, then we'll just go away. But
You're like, you know what? We tried it. Bye.
Yeah.
Next time.
No, but so we did a like an anniversary tour. It was supposed to be the 15-year anniversary of What to Do When You Were Dead, but because of COVID, it was like really like the 16-year anniversary. But those shows were fucking crazy and were amazing, and it was so cool to see and talk to everyone. Like after we played every night, I was like, I'm gonna go right over to the merch area, and I think it really pissed off some clubs actually because. You know, I was like, I'm going to go right to the merch table. So come talk to me afterwards. And, you know, sometimes it'd be like 45 minutes of just like shaking everyone's hand. But like, I didn't expect that many people still wanted to come out and see us. So yeah, if people like the record or maybe they hate the record, but they still want to hear whatever, Car Underwater and want us to play shows, and like, it's the coolest thing ever to do. So yeah, we'll absolutely do it. I think, you know, maybe life is in the way a little bit more now than it was before. Like some of the dudes in the band have families and obligations back home, but we'll do it, you know, we'll do it however we can for sure.
It seems like the club should get their shit together and let you say hi to everybody.
There was this one show we played in Philadelphia. I don't mean to like roast this club, but like one of the security guards at the end, like when I was like hanging out with people and like people want to take pictures and then move on. He was like, oh, I'll like take the pictures for everyone. And I was like, oh my God, that's so nice. Thank you. But I realized what he was doing was he just wanted to like speed up the process. So he'd be like, okay, picture. And he'd be like, next, get out of here. Like, it was actually like very mean. And I was like, sir, thank you for taking the pictures, but can you please give them a couple more seconds to say hi, please? So yeah, they don't. I mean, I get it. It's after a show. Everyone wants to like wrap up the club. The last thing they want to do is, wait another half hour or whatever. But
sure. We were talking a bit before we started recording too about how, you've been gone for 15 years and now a lot of these people are brand new to the Armor for Sleep family, the sleepers.
You're trying.
The sleepers.
The sleepers.
He's trying to make fun words for it.
I was going to call it the armory, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, don't do that.
Oh my God.
Nah, no, bestie,
so you got a bunch of these new art sleepers, and there's like a bunch of people that have never been able to see your band who now are like, I'm so stoked, and having that like same energy that people would have had 15 years ago. Just really interesting that like, I mean, we were saying about like you, Lizzie, is like, the My Chem show out in California. LA. And it's like, it's like you've never had that chance. And now it's like, I am so fucking stoked to see this band and meet him at the merch table. So I totally see why people are so stoked on the band now.
It's cool. It's kind of like a fresh start. Cause I feel like when we were an active band, the people that knew us, like, because we were touring so much and there was so much going on in the scene at that time, I feel like there was so much like baggage that like we brought to the table. People were like, oh, Armor for Sleep. Like I saw them with Take Back Sunday. They sucked. Or like people had all these like preconceived notions of us. But like now if someone's just finding out about us and they come see us play now, it's like, oh, we like don't suck as much as we used to, cause we've been doing it for years now. So it's like, oh, they're going to think we're a good band. Like we're not the band that like I spent the whole set getting shocked on my shitty microphone because like I couldn't afford equipment and like wound up like cursing off the front of house guy and leaving stage. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that's kind of cool to have a clean slate for new fans.
We always make the reference of like bands that start putting out like less than stellar records, the longer they're into their career. And obviously you guys have only put out a few. So, you either die the hero or live
long enough to become the villain. And that's when you put out your new metal butt rock album.
Yeah.
But will you be the villain then, or will you be the anti-hero?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. If you put out a really good butt rock record, you're not a villain.
So I think about this a lot with My Chem. Like I was just talking about this, but I hope more than anything that they put out a new record, right? Like I personally, I mean, it would crush it if My Chem came out with a new record. So I don't know. I haven't spoken to them. I have zero information about it, but like I could imagine from their end, they're like, why would we put out another record? Like they have this like perfect catalog of music. They're selling out shows, playing to like 30,000 people a night around the world. There is like no slowing down. So like, why would they put out a record? Like, what if they put out a record and people think it sucks? Then they've tarnished this thing. Yep. Like, I personally think they should, but like, I don't blame them if they're like, yo, why would we do that right now? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, I mean, even when Foundations dropped, there was a lot of people who like weren't into it, but I was like, this sounds like Bullets. And I mean, Bullets is my favorite album. It was Brian, actually. Brian and I
was not.
I was literally... I was literally walking to Chinatown, and then he was like, "Oh, like it's how much?" And I'm like, "I'm turning back around and I'm coming up to where you are, and we're fighting."
I said, "I'm confused, and I have my feelings on it." And I kind of agree with you. I'm like, why would they put out another record and tarnish like their 4 albums they put out? They have very distinct eras. They have very distinct like sounds that they wanted to do with it. The stories and all of that, the concepts and all that. It's like, yeah, why would you want to do something else? But it also surprises me that they had, we all were in the pandemic and a lot of people created new things. And obviously like you wrote a record. It's like, well, did they write a record during the pandemic? Because they had time and they had already announced that they were reunited. But then we didn't get Foundations until they started their tour this year. And I was kind of like, wouldn't you have done something, and wouldn't the Jonas Brothers have announced that too? Like,
honestly, my boys Jonas Brothers really came through for me. with My Chem, really
just
bridging it all.
leaking the release and leaking everything. It's like, I'm kind of surprised by it a little bit that like they didn't put out a lot more. They didn't announce a lot during the pandemic, and then they put out Foundations, and I'm like, oh, this is what we need, a 6-minute Dream On cover. Oh, lovely. Perfect. Thank you, My Chem. Still love you. Still going to see you as often as I can.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, they can do no wrong in my eyes.
Yeah. I'm like, this isn't the best My Chem song, and it's still like something I will be fine hearing a bunch of times for the rest of history.
Yeah.
I just think it was the ultimate move because I was working for national alternative rock radio stations when it dropped, and my boss, she programs WNYL and NYC, and she was like, hey, guess what? I'm like, what? She's like, we have this just playing for like 2 hours straight, just My Chem.
Really?
I said, yo.
That's crazy.
I was like, girl, let's go.
That's awesome.
I'm going to try to do, Lizzie does all these like really nice transitions. I'm going to try to do one that's real nice.
Uh-oh.
So speaking of My Chem, you're also playing at When We Were Young Fest with My Chem. It wasn't really a good transition, but it was a transition.
It was there.
Yeah.
It's like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was giving myself a 7 where it's like passable, but like not offensive.
But not.
If you rate something a 7, people are like, come on, pick a side.
Yeah, it's like that's on the fence. It's like, listen.
Yeah.
Just say it isn't good or say it is good. Commit.
Pick a side, commit, give me the feedback. I'll never learn if you don't. But it's like, nah, it's a 7. So you're playing When We Were Young Fest.
Yeah. Wait, I have an announcement about it.
Oh shit.
It's not a real festival, guys. It's a
Oh
scam.
no.
I knew it.
Upsetting.
Yeah,
We
all
all
the
got-
bands are just
we all got played.
paid off to like just sell tickets, but no, it's not happening.
So
No, I'm just kidding.
since it's sold out, you're just telling everybody it's not real and thanks for your money.
Yeah, hey, like, thanks for the
No,
memories we ever
but-
made.
I learned a lot in the first like 48 hours after When We Were Young was announced, and I learned a lot about the internet,
Yes.
and I learned a lot about how conspiracy theories can proliferate. Because it was fucking nuts. Like 24 hours after it was announced, I had so many people DMing me saying like, we know Live Nation is paying you off to announce this festival and scam everyone. They're like, how much are you getting paid? And I'm like, I am announcing this because my band is performing at it and I would like you to come and watch us play. I was like, that's the only conspiracy. All of the other bands, they're also playing and want to tell their fans about the concert that they're playing.
Was literally, I don't know if you saw the headassery that was on TikTok because that's probably how it's spread so far.
Yeah.
But people were breaking into like, Census Fail didn't know that they were playing. And I'm like, okay, well, they don't always get communicated fully like what shows they're coming, especially if it's like a year out, a year and a half out. And they're like, and there's people, they're like, I like to call them couch like music critics
Monday
or like
morning
they know
quarterbacking.
anything about everything. And they were like, no, I'm a photographer. And I'm like, cool. And I work very closely with a lot of artists and in music radio. And I could tell you are 100% incorrect.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And then somebody was just like, no, it's just all lies. Like you're silly if you. I'm like, just be mad that you didn't get tickets.
Yeah.
Just say you're mad.
Yeah.
Just say you're mad.
Yeah. I mean, so it was really interesting. So obviously it's a real thing and it's happening, but like, I think it really did open my eyes more to conspiracy theories and how when something so unbelievable happens, people start spreading rumors about it and start saying there's no way this is true. And yeah, I was watching some of the TikTok stuff of people, who are like, this is the same company behind, like the Travis Scott thing. And there's no way it's happening. And like, like they had their tinfoil hats on and it was just crazy to sit back and watch it all happen like at such a quick speed. But it was crazy. Like I was texting, like I remember I texted Shane from Silverstein and I was like, dude, are you getting this craziness? And he was like, the internet has lost their minds. Like we didn't know what to say. It was so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, like you know, even to this day, like they haven't announced like set lists yet, right? But like I think literally every band has come out and said like, yeah, we're probably not each playing an hour and a half sets. Like we can do the math, but also like we're not going to get up there and play for 3 minutes and then be gone. Like you know, like. So I'm excited.
We've also been to a Warped Tour before. We understand the idea.
Yeah, like how it works.
Warped Tour?
I mean, maybe that's the problem, is that none of these kids remember Warped Tour.
No, because they never went to Warped Tour. I think what's funny though now is that more people, every time another music festival gets announced, immediately everyone's like, this sounds fake. Mm-hmm. Like for So What Fest in Texas, they're like, this sounds really fake. There would be no way that they put hip hop and rap and like metal and everything together. And I'm like, hey, maybe think about what you just said, how that's not great. But like also it is a very real, I'm like, we know the promoter, the people who are putting it on. Like I can assure you it's real. And they're like, you don't know that. This is just a bad lineup. And I'm like, what's it like to live in delusion?
Yep.
Yeah. Also the craziest thing is when people were like, oh, it's the same small production company that put on the Travis Scott concert. And I'm like, Live Nation? You mean the company that puts on 50% of concerts across the world? Like, yes, they did do this thing and this horrible thing happened, but it's not like some like mom and pop company that's doing like one concert every 6 years.
It's
like,
literally the most
Live Nation.
Live Nation, historically owned by the Live Nation family.
Yeah, that's
current CEO Barbara Live Nation.
Absolutely insane. Well, we'll see you there at least at one.
Oh yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And like, okay, so the first weekend is Saturday and Sunday, and the second weekend is just Saturday. I honestly don't know how any of the bands are going to be able to play Sunday because I know for me, so many of these bands I haven't seen in so many years. And like the fact that we're all going to be together the same day and in Vegas, everyone's just going to be out having like the time of their lives on Saturday night. Like I can think of like, 20 bands off the top of my head that I'm going to love to like give hugs to and hang out. I just like Sunday, I don't know how we're all going to just wake up and do it again. Like everyone's just going to have massive hangovers. I think. I mean, I'll go to bed early, but I know.
So I should try to swap my tickets for Saturday.
See, I got Saturday. Listen, bestie, I said, I'll grab your ticket. And you said no. And I said, okay. So me and the girlies are going Saturday. So I think you should swap.
I had to go the hotel room route to get a ticket to the whole thing. Sunday was the only day that was available that I could actually get tickets for. It wasn't an option that I had. And what you're saying is like, I did not think of that. I figured like you guys would get there earlier in the week and get all the Vegas out of your system, No, I honestly think you have the best day. If I had to look at all 3 days, I would put my money on Sunday being the best day because the first Saturday is going to be a shit show because nobody's going to know. There are going to be equipment issues. There are going to be staging issues, blah, blah, blah. Sunday, even though people will be hungover, all the bands are going to be super grateful because they had an amazing show the day before. They will have figured out the little technical shit. And then the next Saturday after that is a little bit of like, it's everything all over again. So I'm sure there are going to be equipment problems again. Like I feel like that Sunday is going to be the unicorn show. So I think you chose correctly. Thank you. First I felt bad, and then I felt good.
It's been a back and forth this entire time.
The thing is, I love it because either one could be true at this point. This is the conspiracy. It could be either way.
Or it could all be a scam.
Yeah, actually, it's all a scam, guys. We're going to get there, and they're going to be like, LOL, JK, have fun in Vegas. And it's like, well, I even told people, I'm like, listen, in the most insane universe, if it is a scam, which it's not, you're in Vegas. Like you can
in Vegas, dude.
You're in Vegas.
Yeah. I don't know if the sun in the desert is like the most emo of places to be, but certainly like you can figure it out. You can have a good time in Vegas.
Yeah.
I hope. Everybody have a safe time in Vegas.
Yeah, everyone be careful.
Everybody just be safe. Please be safe.
Nothing bad ever happens there, right?
LOL.
I think so. That's what I mean. I've heard Katy Perry had a rough time. Like that's what you get.
Yeah.
Waking
well,
up
hey, you can't get married by an Elvis impersonator anymore, though. So
what?
If anybody, that got passed, like because it was a copyright. They can't use his.
I'm
you
sorry.
can't use his
Elvis got hit with
likeliness.
DMCA.
Wow.
Well, because they were saying like, oh, you cannot copy likeliness for profit. So all of the Elvis impersonators literally like lost their jobs overnight. And I think this was like right before the Elvis movie came out too.
We're not blaming
Yeah.
Baz Luhrmann for this. I will not hear Baz Luhrmann slander in my chat.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen the movie. I don't know.
I haven't seen it either.
I've heard it's rough.
I've heard a lot of different things about it.
I heard Tom Hanks in particular is not the best.
Right.
That's the one thing that is consistent in the reviews is that it's
Yeah.
like, why is Tom Hanks here? Which is, it's, you know what? It happens.
Oh. Like more like no Hanks. Am I right?
That's good.
Well, that's I should have waited until the end of our recording to say that because now clearly like everyone's gonna leave.
Can you believe he did this? I can't. Anyway, you recorded with Courtney Ballard, who's also worked with State Champs, Good Charlotte, All Time Low, and so many other bands as well. And what was that kind of like that decision making process for you to work with them compared to anybody else?
Yeah, so for this one, it wasn't like, okay, it's time to make an album. Let's like meet with a bunch of different producers. It kind of happened organically. I was actually like posting a lot of stuff to my Instagram stories. And my friend Brett, who's the singer of a band called the Juliana Theory, was like, what's this? And I was like, just doing new stuff. And he's like, you should talk to Courtney because Courtney was producing the new Juliana Theory record. So Brett kind of like introduced us, and Courtney was like, yo, come over and show me the new songs. So came over, showed him the new songs. And originally, actually, I went in, we were going to kind of work on something else, and I played him the Armor demos that I had. And then he was like, can you send them to me tonight? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I'll tell you what I think tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And then I went home, and then tomorrow morning he called me. He was like, we should do a full length. And I was like, okay. So the album wasn't actually like, it was probably only like 75% done at that point. But Courtney really was like, no, dude, you just got to finish it up and we'll start working. So we really took our time with it. And Courtney is just a great producer to work with. And another thing is that I live in Hollywood now, and his studio is in West Hollywood. So it's literally like a mile from where I live. So it made sense for both of us. We were like, yo, if we work together, we could like walk to each other's places. So it was awesome. We did it actually last summer, right when the Delta variant was rearing its ugly head. So we're isolated from the world. I actually wound up getting COVID at the end of the record when I had like 2 more songs to sing. So I had to just stay in my apartment for 10 days. And it was a bummer, but that was almost like perfect for the record because the whole world was shut down. It was basically like a COVID record. So like, of course I get COVID at the end of the experience and like have to fight through it. It was just appropriate for what the record is, I think.
Yeah, I noticed like all these records are coming out now, right? And so everybody's going back on tour, and all of it is like back at it again. But like with all the like, I don't know, with all the reuniting bands and everybody coming back and doing their like reunion tours or new stuff, it's like, yeah, I mean, it just has to like have that sort of sense of like, I guess I don't want to say this. I don't want to say. It's like, this might be the last time, but also like, I should probably get out there and see the band and hear the things because you never know.
Yeah, it was crazy, right?
Yeah.
What a weird fucked up thing happened 2 years ago.
I don't think anybody is going to have a like collective trauma though. Like I think we're all going to be just okay, you know?
Yeah, just a little
totally
bit
normal.
fine.
Yeah.
Pretty decent.
We all just turned off our social media and we all just like, you know, reconnected with our family and friends that we were, you know, living with, and we used the internet for good.
Nature healed.
Nature absolutely healed.
Yeah, the planet's fine, guys.
Holy shit.
Yeah, guys, we're not dying as a collective at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No longer global warming, it's global chill, dude.
And the best part is, like, when all this was going on, our politicians got together and they were like, you know what? Let's stop being fucked up. Let's actually, like, you know, govern this country like a bunch of sane people. And, like, I know we're all collectively very happy that they decided to come together and do that. So we have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
we can do whatever we want with our bodies. The Supreme Court lets us make our own choices. So what do we have to complain about, guys? I think
it's honestly kind of crazy how popular emo music has gotten in what can only be described as the greatest time to be alive.
Oh God.
Like, I think I'm gonna listen to the stuff that really gets me in my feelings because everything else is going so good.
Oh yeah,
so good,
like so well. Like listen, when Sum 41 said the doctor said my mom should have had an abortion, it just really fit the bill.
How many times have we heard
recently
that song since and just thought about?
You're like, oof.
But then you're like, well, they're Canadian, so it's like kind of okay. They're not worried about the same issues that we're worried about, even though they're so close. It's like, hey, you guys good over there? And we're like, no.
They're like, check back with you later. Bye. That's how it goes.
Yeah. Do you think that like that has a lot to do with like the emo resurgence or like the passion behind all of these sad pop songs and sad music coming out and like?
That's a good question. I don't think so. Because I think, if I'm being honest, I think when people refer to emo now, a lot of it is like, I think almost like the happier stuff from the emo stuff. Like I think like when people talk about emo resurgence, it's like Paramore and like, honestly, a lot of the stuff that's like pretty close to like pop, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like, I mean, when I grew up and talked about emo, it was actually like the sadder, like more brooding Sunny Day Real Estate kind of like Thursday, like dark stuff. But like, I don't think that's what people talk about anymore when they talk about emo. So I don't know. I don't think it's so much of a cultural thing as it is like this was a massive scene of music that affected so many people when they were at, high school, college age. And then it just became really uncool because everyone was listening to it. And when everyone listens to something, it just makes it uncool. And then like 10 years later, people were like, no, what the fuck? Like that meant a lot to me. So I think it's just, the resurgence is just happening because so many people connected with it, and I think it was bound to come back. Do you guys agree with that or no?
I mean, yes. Like being like old enough now with like expendable income and all the bands that I liked as a teenager, and like the popular kids, and I say that like my school didn't really have like the cliques as like movies would have them, like the popular kids and the jocks and all that.
Yeah, he tried to explain that to me one day, and I said, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, it was fairly like just everybody was either like doing their own thing or like part of a group or something, and everybody kind of like everybody from every part of the school went to like the football games, and like random people were on like student council. Actually, the student council was like the popular kids, and I was like, "Dude, those are so lame." And then when Fall Out Boy got big, they're like, dude, do you listen to Fall Out Boy? And I was like, no, fuck yourself. And then this girl that I had a crush on who like shut me down started wearing a used shirt. And I was like, you'll figure it out. And then we've never spoken. So
that's sorry for you, bestie.
It's fine. I'm doing fine. So anyway, I do think it's because we're all still sad and still dealing with that. But also...
I just think that there's so much more that can be accepted within like the emo and like pop punk and this like alt rock overall community nowadays, where I remember when I was in like high school and middle school, if you liked anything outside of like that genre, you were like labeled a poser, and like nobody wanted to talk to you. They wouldn't take your opinions like as valid as like anything like that. And like I just say like I was like a secret Jonas Brothers fan up until like when they came back, because I would tell people like I love the Jonas Brothers, and they're like, oh, but you like Fall Out Boy and you like Evanescence. I'm like, yeah, because at the time Jonas Brothers was very pop punk sounding. Go listen to the first few albums, okay? And nobody believed me, so then I had to hide it. But now everyone's like, yeah, like this is so cool. I just think because there's so much more acceptance among like the general majority, except for like zip up hoodies, upsetting.
God damn it.
That's why it's like happier, because more people who weren't like really able to integrate or be involved or be like open in that scene, they obviously started listening to things that they were more comfortable with or they were supposed to listen to. So now they're like, oh, let's weave it all in together. So we get things that are more like, this poppy rock or like emo rap or something like that. And now it's like this new fusion that's actually pretty cool. And I mean, I think as well, like at looking back the nostalgia aspect, like I've always say this is that like in 2001, like I was like 6 years old. So like I didn't get to experience any of that. And I didn't like really come into a lot of these like
how old we were in 2001, and it is changing the opinion.
Like me coming up, like not even realizing who Finch was up until like I graduated from college, like undergrad in 2017, because I listened to a podcast I was interning with. And I was like, oh, wow, like these are really good bands, because I grew up on like Fall Out Boy, like that mall emo type of stuff, and like Hollywood Undead and everything like that. So that was my thing. So I think looking back, it's like, oh, I can have that like early 2000s teen, like young adult nostalgia thing now. But like now when I'm actually of age and like having it in my own area now.
Yeah.
What was the band you didn't tell anybody you liked in high school?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I really, actually, when I was in middle school, I really loved Nine Inch Nails.
Okay.
And that was like before I got into like punk rock. And then I got into like punk rock and like NoFX and starting into like more of like, you know, what was becoming like the emo stuff. And I was like, oh shit, I can't like Nine Inch Nails anymore. Like that is, because that was like,
You're like, that's not cool anymore.
yeah, because that's before I found out about the scene. Like I got my like unfortunate fashion choices from like Hot Topic and stuff, you know, because that was like the only like alternative thing. So yeah, I was really into Nine Inch Nails, and then I found out about like punk in the scene, and I was like, oh, like I'll be like very uncool if I tell people I like Nine Inch Nails. So I kind of like buried that for a while, and it wasn't until like after, you know, getting into music more and more and like realizing like what Trent Reznor did and his songwriting and the different sounds that he made, like later in life, where I was like, oh, like I still love Nine Inch Nails, and like I can't, you know, there's no reason to be ashamed about it anymore. And then like I mean, literally like everyone in every band we've ever toured with are all Nine Inch Nails fans. Yeah. So I just think, you know, them being, they were just marketed as such like a goth thing for so long, and that's kind of like, you can't touch that if you're, you know, if you say you like emo, you can't like cross over to the goth thing. Well, I guess actually My Chem kind of changed that parameter.
Yeah.
But before My Chem, like it was like very uncool to like anything gothy. But yeah, Nine Inch Nails, I love them. I always have.
I was very public about how much I loved Nine Inch Nails as a kid. Like, no.
Oh, really? Great.
I was like, I think this is like just one of those bands that is just untouchable. Like they're just putting out banger after banger after banger, and it's like everybody knows. Everybody's just like, okay, Nine Inch Nails, and there are other bands too. So it was just to me like that was my perception of them. And now getting older, I'm like, it's still true, and everyone needs to put respect on Trent's name, even if it is Trent.
Yeah. So real sore subject for me, like we're playing When We Were Young, and like we're totally open to playing other festivals, and I'm sure you guys know Riot Fest this year. The headliner is fucking Nine Inch Nails for one of the days, and like me and the rest of the dudes in my band are like, fuck, why couldn't we get that show? Because literally like just playing with Nine Inch Nails to be on the same bill as him, that's like my dream as like from like a young child to like to say I played a show with Nine Inch Nails. And that was probably the closest I'll ever be. So still kind of bummed about that, but maybe one day.
Is it just that you can't, like, you have another show the same
where they
day?
have a full bill? Or?
No, I mean, after When We Were Young, I got a million texts from different friends in different bands, like, yo, how'd you guys get the offer? And like, I don't know how politics work with like what booking agent is going to get what offer. Like, I don't know why we didn't get the offer for Riot Fest. Maybe we weren't even like an option. Maybe it's like all politics or whatever, but we just, it never came through. We would have done it in a heartbeat. But yeah, we're, you know, now the bill is completely full. So
yeah,
there's no chance.
I mean, look, we know people at Riot Fest, and I'm saying this completely just
Brian's saying this so loosely right now.
Oh, I'm so loose with this right now. I'm so loose with this right now. But
Brian's
I feel
like,
like
I'm gonna go up to them and I'm gonna talk to them.
I'm gonna have a conversation. I'm speaking this to put it out into the world and hope that something good happens for everybody. Because I'm very stoked for Nine Inch Nails at the show too. So I want something good to happen, and I'm just saying, like, you know, hey, Riot Fest, I mean, I think you can figure something out, you know? Like, come on.
I might just personally go to that anyway.
Also,
like I'll go
Yeah, I was
down the
gonna say, it would be
Rolodex of the
great
bands
either
I know that are playing. I was like, can you put me on the guest list? No. Can you put me on the guest list? No. I'll just go down the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one
Can you
of
put me on
them
the guest list?
has to say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
probably
tickets are
Academy
still
isn't my
available
best
out
bet.
there, you know, guys.
Oh,
Like,
are they really?
I mean,
Yeah.
It's not sold out yet.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Friday single days are almost just sold out because it's My Chem day.
Also, how many people can they fit there?
That's a
Do you
good
think?
question.
I think,
Probably like 400.
yeah, it's about 35. It's like an underground
Yeah,
pizza place.
it's a
like a Fall
rough
Boy show.
35.
Yeah, it's like a Fall Out Boy show in an underground pizza place. About 30, 35, you know. But it's like a tight 35, you know. It's like
Yeah.
a real,
They're all
you're
stuck.
real condensed. Like you're up against it, you know.
Yeah, you're like, guys, you're gonna really experience this.
It's the pit or nothing, or you're outside of the whole venue of a park.
in the rest of the park. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're almost at an hour, and I want to get over to the chat on Twitch to answer some questions. If you guys got anything, we'll chat with you. But before we do that, just want to make sure everybody knows where they can find the new single, when the record's coming out, and where they can come to see you on tour. All the good, you know, little promo-y bits to get people excited for the stuff and showing up to all of your fake shows so that you can give Live Nation the money
Scam
that you
everyone.
said you owed
Yeah,
them.
scam. And your other legit shows that
And
you
the
have
legit
too with
ones, too.
dashboards. Yeah, you know, the one that they know
those-
for sure.
Yeah, not scams. So where should I tell them to go? Probably just Instagram has all of the pertinent information. So Instagram.com/armorforsleep. We have a little like link tree in our bio that's just got where to stream the video. The new single is called How Far Apart. So if you just go to YouTube, search How Far Apart, Armor for Sleep, that's it. And then the album comes out September 7th, September 9th, 9/9, September 9th. 9. So we got a minute before the album comes out, but
Yeah.
we're gonna put out 2 more singles over the summer before the album comes out. So hopefully people don't forget about it. And then hopefully we can get it to number 1 on iTunes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, number 1 on iTunes. Don't be cowards. Do it.
Just hoping to sell a bunch of CDs.
Song of the summer. Played on every
You know, it's really
radio
weird. So
station.
we're doing vinyl for this, and I had to ask the label. I was like, "Are we making CDs? Like, should we make CDs?" I think we are. We're making CDs, but like that's like such an afterthought right now.
Yeah.
The kids
Like,
also
where-
like cassettes.
Cassettes are cool, but like I literally don't have a CD player anymore. I think I bought one because I had to like rip an old CD. Like I don't even have one on my computer. There are no more optical drives.
Yep.
So it's just weird that we're making them.
You can get one and put it in later. You're like, oh, I want to like put a little CD player in my desktop computer. You're like,
Just to feel something.
Just yeah.
they're either like $14 or they're $400 for a CD
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we made 4 because nobody needs these, you know?
Yeah. No, the one I bought from Amazon, it was a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a button that you had to press on it to like eject the thing, but it wouldn't work. So I had to go into Terminal on my Mac and like download all this coding to like
Oh no.
hack the CD drive to open. I was like, awesome. CDs are so cool.
Yeah. No wonder no one uses
CDs are
them
my
anymore.
lifeblood.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to learn to code to listen to a record.
Yeah. That's what I had to do. No, I'm all about cassettes though. Cassette tapes are cool. I don't know if we're doing cassette tapes. We should.
Yeah.
It's
I
hard to
will
do
say-
records now.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
hard to do records. I've seen a lot of friends and also just bands I really like recently when the vinyl production got halted up. They
Yeah.
said, well, I can make cassettes for like, I think it was like $5 their cost, and they sold it either for whatever they paid for it or just a little bit more, and they sell out like crazy.
Really?
And then there was actually a study done, I think it was like midway through COVID, because this is when it started to really pick up, that Walkmans were coming back and people were starting to drive up the price of Walkmans.
Hell yeah.
That is nonsense to me. I blame Stranger Things.
Yeah.
That's it. I mostly just blame Stranger Things. And no spoilers. I haven't seen season 4 yet. Don't ask.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah. No spoilers in chat. That's the best way to get some spoilers in chat.
Yeah, everyone's just gonna rip it.
Everyone's about to do it. Well, everybody, we are going to head over to Twitch to answer some questions. I see some people chatting over there, so we'll get some questions for Ben from there. If you're listening to this, though, go get the record, listen to the single. Number 1 on iTunes, song of the summer, song of the autumn.
Everyone buy it.
Everybody
go.
buy it. It's
Don't be cowards.
So good. We're gonna pretend that we've heard it, and we're gonna go top record, top of all records. And
Pitchfork is gonna rate it a 9.5.
Pitchfork said, "You gotta listen. You gotta."
They have to recant what they did for Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah.
So they have to rectify the situation now for the entire scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to be on the cover of Alternative Press, 6 issues in a row.
Hell yeah. I had one with you guys.
I love
on
AP, by the way.
Yeah. Like that was like such a thing of like, I got to get the one with like, you know.
So we actually, we never made it quite to the cover, but they did like a Warped Tour special one year in 2006.
Yeah.
And I was actually on the cover with Justin from Motion City, William from the Academy and then Sonny from First to Last.
Yep.
AKA Skrillex.
AKA. It's so weird. That was the one I had too. I was like, oh hell yeah, this is
yeah. We shared a bus with them on that tour. Little did I know that 16-year-old kid would basically change electronic music.
Yeah, changed
Pretty cool.
a lot. Changed so much.
Yeah. And also, I will say this: Sonny, literally one of the best people I ever met. He's like the best, sweetest kid ever. Not kid anymore, but
Yeah,
awesome dude.
he is still shorter, but you know,
He never was super tall, but neither am I. So we got along.
before I start talking about short kings, we'll move on and we'll get to
That's the.
we'll get to Twitch.
I was gonna say it. I was like, I don't know if I should say it, but you said it for both.
The internet, it's a beautiful place, and all I'm saying is there's a lot of guys who take out their height situation on people on the internet, and in many cases, if you're not doing that and you're just being a normal fucking person, tall king energy or short king energy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you know, good on the nice people out there. We only like nice people, and it's very easy to be nice. And this is my transition to the outro of the podcast, which is,
that's crazy.
Speaking of nice people, thank you so much, Ben, for hanging out with us tonight on the podcast.
Yeah, no problem.